Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of In 90 Minutes podcast. This is one of your hosts, John. I'm joined today with Misael, Ahmed, and David. We have a full staff for the first time in a while, I believe. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good 4th of July?
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Fantastic one. I went down on enemy territory down to Del Rey Beach. Had a good time with the family.
Good, good, good. Well, we got a not as full of a show as we've had and the last couple episodes because we actually for seems like the first time in forever did not have a midweek match. But we'll get started. The Pride were off. They're off, I believe, this whole month until August. Um, so there's virtually no news. I believe they, like I said last week, they signed a couple players to extensions and such, but really nothing, groundbreaking to report from the Pride. So let's move to Orlando City B, who last night played Crown Legacy.
Correct.
They played to a full time draw and then won in penalties. I did not watch it. I was watching the U.S. match,
I
but
did.
I know David watched it.
I did, and I gotta tell you that the end result 2-2. The boys fighting back and won the extra point on penalties. And if everybody that watched or that did not watch, Mercado was between the post, saved three penalties in a row. Monumental performance from the young man. And Ellis had a penalty, and let's see, and I believe I'm looking here to see who scored, and I believe he had a brace. So we had a brace yesterday. Fantastic. I mean, well done. We have once again keep saying it. Those CVs on transition. A lot of the heavy talent that they had has moved on to the first team, and they're trying to figure things out and to repeat again. OCB's purpose is not to win games or lift trophies, but to incubate talent. And I think it was a fantastic performance. The boys take 2 points. We move on, and I believe I'm trying to look at the schedule here, and they will be playing
Carolina
at,
Core on July
right,
13th at 7
right,
p.m.
away. So, and that's a very difficult place to play.
That's a home match.
Oh, is a home match or
Yeah.
is away? I thought it was away. According to the schedule that I have, is away at Carolina.
Huh. Yeah. This is the one I have up on the screen is from the Orlando City.
The one I have is from Instagram, and it's two away games. The one that just happened, and then this one at Carolina Core, and then we return home on the. Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct, sir. It's oh goodness, guys, this is what happens when you need to a new prescription. I'm struggling here. Okay, July 8th is no, July 11th, I think that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, it's gonna be at Carolina Court. Then we come back home against Toronto 2. So as of right now, like I was saying, Carolina Court is a difficult place to play. It's an independent team. It's a small town in North Carolina, and people do show up to these games like if it was an MLS team or USL team. So our boys are gonna have a really tough time there. So wish them the best, and that's
Where are you
that's
getting that info from, David? Because
it's from the Instagram. The post that is, and obviously I can't show it. Is the
yeah,
post that is nailed.
because
Um,
the Orlando City Bees website says their next match is the 13th at 7, which is a home match,
where
and then after that is the 20th against New England.
okay, unless something has changed. We'll find
I
out.
think
People are smart. They can they can do their own research there and find out. One quick thing I just wanted to mention before we move on. Dom Dwyer has re-signed his contract to play
Yeah.
League One football once again with Mansfield Township, and it does League One, third division in England. I'm very happy for Dom. Dom had the opportunity to return to the United States and for family reasons. Obviously, that would have been best for him, but the opportunity to play high quality football is there. Congratulations to Dom. His third child, his first with his second wife, was born 5 weeks ago. It was a boy, and for me, Dom Dwyer, it has a special place in my heart. I keep saying it. His 2013 performance, quite possibly, if not, did gave us the eyes and the attention from MLS to grant us an expansion team. For people that don't know, we were fighting to get a spot, and it was given to New York City instead because quote unquote we were a unproven market. And when we packed 21,000 people to watch a USL team in the championship and see Dom Dwyer score 4 goals in a game, that's what sealed it. That's what sealed it. The story is on the book, Defy Expectations. The Phil Rollins Orlando City story, book by Simon Vaness. I recommend if you're an Orlando City fan, definitely a book to read. If you're a fan of football, recommend that book as well. Dom will be facing Stevenage. So I already sent him a message congratulating him and letting him know we're not gonna take it easy. And to our friends in the UK, that thank you, Misael. Uh, to our friends in the UK that have already told me that they are going to either a home game or on the road to go say hello to Dom. That's awesome because Dom needs to remember that regardless of how things ended in MLS, that this fan base still loves him, still respects him, and it's my firm belief that Don will come back home to Orlando once he hangs the boots, and God willing, he will have something to do with us. If not, the guy has a face for TV and the knowledge for football, and he's definitely is going to have a future in broadcasting. You heard it from me first. Anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on with a club legend and a beloved player. Um, so there's that with that. John, you're muted.
sorry about that. Getting used to this new microphone. But no, I was saying before we move on, I want to remind everybody if you're watching us to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on our social medias. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and Blue Sky at In 90 Minutes Podcast. And then I believe it's just at In 90 Minutes on YouTube. We post different things on each periodically whenever news comes up from the club. So give us a follow to stay updated with Orlando City news. Moving on, before we move on to the senior team, let's talk about what happened with the U.S. national team and the Gold Cup. As we know, it's a little more important to us because Alex Freeman was a starter. He started I think all but one match for the Gold. Maybe he may have started all of them. I get the group stage
Yeah,
mixed
he
in with.
started all six, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Started all 6 Gold Cup matches. Youngest player to ever do that in our country's history. They obviously won on Wednesday night to move into the Gold Cup final. They played Guatemala Wednesday night. He held his own. It's Guatemala, small country. A lot of the players are MLS Next Pro players, former MLS players, stuff like that. Was too close for comfort, 2-1 win. Diego Luna had a brace what 15 minutes into the match. And other than that, they just kind of sat back and defended and dared Guatemala to score a goal, which they eventually did. Did any of you guys watch the match on Wednesday night? Do you have any thoughts to add to the national team's match?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay. And then last night, they played in the Gold Cup final. My opinion and a lot of other people's opinions, it's the greatest rivalry in international soccer. U.S. versus Mexico. Mexico, I believe, essentially had their A team. All their top players were there. Obviously, the U.S. was missing most of their top players. Um, the U.S. came in as underdogs. Alex Freeman should have had a goal, should have had a drawn penalty. But other than that, he kind of had a rough night. The two goals were you could blame him for. The first goal, he kind of got caught in no man's land and was slow to react to the pass to the man behind him. And then the Mexico's second goal, he kept their man on side barely off of a free kick, and Mexico, it was originally ruled offside and then overturned through VAR. But the topic that everybody's talking about right now is the handball that was not called on Mexico. And I'll kind of give my piece about it and then let you guys, say what you think about it. But if you go by the letter of the law and take it for just, the guy was planting his arm from falling, it was the right call. But you can tell in watching it in slow motion or in real time, the guy starts to fall, his knee hits the ground, he starts to put his right arm down, then he moves with his left arm and kind of plants his hand squarely on the ball to basically slow the ball from rolling and move it away from the U.S. player. And it wasn't called a penalty. I 100% think it should have been called a penalty. And actually, Pochettino said what U.S. and Orlando City fans say all the time when there's not when the decision goes against us like that is if it was in the other box, it would have been called a penalty. And especially with as poor as the refereeing was last night, Mexico should have been down to 10 men. They should have had multiple yellow cards early because anytime Ajiming would go on an attack, he would get pulled down. Same with Tillman. And, really poor officiating, I thought, last night. Mexico still had more fouls. I thought they could have gotten called for maybe, 5 to 10 more fouls on the match. But, 2-1, nothing to hang your head at. Congrats, Mexico. You beat our B- C team. You beat our A team, and then you may have something to say about it. But, it was entertaining. I thought it was entertaining. Very defensive match for the U.S., but we still had our chances to score. Did either of you guys? I see him. Miss Ayala left for a minute, but were you guys able to watch it?
Yeah, I was able to watch it. I struggle watching our team on occasion when we're talking about the national events team. Um, Historically, our and I have to think U.S. men's team because it all carries across. I feel like and our performance has not been consistent. We come out strong, and we tend to just lose it, which is what happened to us. We came out strong, and had we been able to maintain that throughout, the bad call wouldn't have mattered. You know what I mean? But it felt like it really fell apart, and then just went downhill from there. Like we weren't. We might have had one piece when it actually, when Alex Freeman almost scored that header. I was like, oh my god, they got it back. But easy come, easy go. That's the part for me that I feel like we really need to work on as a team. Um, is just being able to get over those shifts and just move on. Right? I feel like you see it happen with a lot of teams, and we can't going into the World Cup, which we're automatically qualified for, because I don't know. That's a whole other conversation, right? Um, we're not. If we play like that, I don't think we'll get as far as we need to, or as far as we should. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Misael. I'll go last.
Not much from me. I agree with both of them. Um, to touch on the Meds, I mean, like John said, and everybody knows, it's not really our A team as well. Not everyone there, so I think we did pretty well compared to that point. And there's some guys there that look like they're going to be called back up. Um, I think coming into this, we were, I mean, at least my opinion, kind of sketchy on Poch. I know he's a good coach, but I guess here we're looking for somebody to turn it around now. You know what I'm saying? And I thought he did a good job, even though obviously the result last night wasn't what we wanted, but I think he got the best out of those guys as much as he could, and I like the future. It looks good.
We do have a comment, David. If Miss Io, if you want to go ahead and read it real quick.
Ray says 2 calls, clear second yellow on tactical foul, and I don't know how trapping a ball with your hand is not a foul.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be short with this. You can dice and slice it. We lost. That's how it is. You're at the mercy like they say in boxing, never leave it to the judges, and we did. We had chances to score, we didn't. Um, when it comes to CONCACAF, I've been very vocal about this. There's only one continent, and that's the American continent. There's not two. There's just one. Just so you know that the North South is so created by American cartographers in the 1890s. There's one continent. We're the only continent in the world that has two confederations. Why? I don't know. I gotta tell the reason. It's Brazil and Uruguay and Argentina are very comfortable with the little 10 confederation, 10 team confederation, and they are basically pencil in every single time to make the World Cup. Mexico, the same thing. They love CONCACAF because CONCACAF outside of the United States and Canada is just a bunch of smaller countries that do not surpass the 4 million population and a bunch of little islands that basically play with their diasporas in North America and Europe. Um, and that's why these teams in CONCACAF they go to the World Cup and they do nothing. They do jack. And maybe one day we'll have the vision to merge CONMEBOL and CONCACAF and create a true confederation where talent only gets you to the World Cup. If you look at the African Cup, and I mean knows this by heart, there's 54 federations. It's a bloodbath. I watched the last championship that was hosted at Ivory Coast. It was a bloodbath. I loved every second of it. That's great football. African teams that make it to the World Cup, what do they do so well? Easy, because they gotta beat 50 plus teams. They gotta travel to little islands in the Atlantic and in the Indian Ocean. They gotta travel to the jungles. They gotta travel to the desert. They gotta travel to the heights. We always talk about Switzerland and Bolivia. Well, there's Lesotho, there's Botswana. Okay, there's parts of South Africa that rival that altitude. There's parts of Morocco that rival the altitude. So the fact of the matter is, my friends, is that you know people want to do what's comfortable. I'm gonna give you a great example of this. Israel plays in UEFA for obvious reasons. There's teams in Asia that don't want to play them. There's teams in Africa that don't want to play them for obvious reasons, right? Political and all that. They did a piece on Channel 5 in Israel, where they were asking people if by some reason we were admitted back in the Asian Confederation. Would you be for that? Because it will be easier to make the World Cup. And people were like, no, we don't want to do that because we love playing against in the European champions, and we love playing in the champions and all that. And I'd rather not make the World Cup ever, but have teams like PSG and Liverpool come to town. That's ridiculous. What a stupid answer to say something like that. You wanna play and you wanna play to win. And I finish with this. In my opinion, the world's biggest rivalry is North Korea and South Korea. Those dudes hate each other. They hate each other. What you saw last night was a bunch of American-born people of Mexican descent. If you believe that all those people cross the border with their passports, no. Those people, they're third, fourth, and fifth generation Mexicans in the United States that root for Mexico, and I don't blame them. So it's, it's all good. But the reality is that everybody in that stadium has American passports. We continue to have Mexico play west of the Mississippi because it pays the bills. You will never see Mexico playing the East Coast. And finally, as far as the American team, as long as we have people like Alexi Lalas and 12 man and all those MLS 1.0 dudes dictating what should we do, we're never gonna go anywhere. Those guys are gas bags that absolutely have nothing to contribute. They crap on our team. They crap on our fan base. They crap on everything that we're trying to do, and they're always in the pocket of MLS. Saying that everything that MLS does is great, which is I disagree. Our team plays in that league, but the league doesn't have all the answers. And yeah, like Misael said, it wasn't our best performance, our best team. We're still in transition. We're guaranteed a spot in the World Cup because we're hosting. So we'll see what happens. I don't make too much out of it. Like I said, it's like Mexico and the United States take turns at winning this trophy. It's like arguing who's the world's tallest midget. And until we actually play somebody that is worth their salt, we're never gonna go anywhere, and we're never gonna go to a World Cup and make noise. It's sad that in order to see the United States finishing top four in the world, we have to go all the way to their first World Cup when we finished third. Pathetic. A nation of 300, almost 350 million people can produce 18 dudes that go out there and bleed and sweat to death for their nation. People make fun of Guatemala and Trinidad and Dominican Republic and all these other smaller nations, but those dudes understood that playing for their nation is a privilege and an honor. What Americans do most of the time, especially the women disgust me. Disgust me with their attitude, their entitlement. Yeah, they win, but you are 50 years ahead of the world playing. Stay-at-home moms and college students and high school kids. Shut up. The fact is, and I finish with this, is that the if I want 18 dudes that will go out there and represent me and give it the passion and everything for the flag. If I learn anything in college in my civics class, is that a flag is nothing but a piece of fabric, and the anthem nothing but a song. Is the value that we put into it that makes it special. And the United States flag to me means a lot. It will cover my carcass the day I take my last breath and they put me on the ground, because I took the initiative, and it was an honor and a privilege for me to protect and defend our country. So when if you ever see me at the stadium when they play the anthem, I stand at attention, looking at the flag, because it means that much to me. So being patriotic, it doesn't have nothing to do with politics or who's the president. Being patriotic is being proud of the country that you're from. Simple as that. So hopefully, like I said, when the World Cup comes around, we get to see 18 individuals that will give us just that, play to win and represent and be proud, and I definitely will root for that. As far as Alex Freeman, fantastic performance. I couldn't be proud of Alex. I'm proud to say that this podcast, the members of this podcast, have been to many OCB games and have seen Alex grow into not only a great player, a great human being. Alex was one of those guys that will stay there signing stuff and shaking hands, and I just wish him nothing but the best. I know some people are saying, "Oh well, because of this performance, is not that great. Maybe he's not ready for Europe." I believe he is, and I believe that he's gonna make us proud too. So hopefully, the Alex Freeman that we get back is hungry like a lion, and come Saturday, he can prove to us that he is the man that we know he is.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I thought was most enjoyable about this group of players is, especially as the tournament rolled on, you really started to see that hunger and that pride show through. And they really, a lot of people, and I know you just brought up Alexi Lawless, but he loves saying this, and I agree with him, is, teams have to suffer, and I feel like they really did that, especially in that Costa Rica match. They really had to suffer through and work their tails off to get a result and force that into penalties at the end. But speaking of Alex Freeman, that brings up the next thing I wanted to cover with the U.S. national team is, is he going to be on the World Cup squad? I know there's still a couple windows left that maybe he gets called in. Obviously, right now, he's in all likelihood behind behind Serginho Dest. Personally, I feel like, especially when he played the higher level teams, and yes, he was playing out of position, but he kind of was exposed to some of his weaknesses. His lack of having a left foot whatsoever really hurt him against those better teams. That's why the second friendly you saw him mishandle so many of the balls. He had to awkwardly rotate on several of them to trap them down and get them the foot. And then I just really feel like he moved up, in the ladder, if you will. But I feel like right now for me personally, he didn't do enough to earn a call up. He showed some stuff yesterday, showed some of his qualities yesterday that we've already seen in Orlando City B and this year with the senior team, with his speed and with his strength. I mean, that towards the end of the match, the one that I thought should have been called a penalty as well, where he brought it down into the box, got it on the line, and had two Mexican defenders on his back and basically got American football tackled by them in order for them to try to get the ball away from him. Showed something, his speed with the one that he almost scored. 10 times that happens, he probably scores it. The keeper blocked it with his cheek. Um, you know, so I just feel like, I'm trying to be positive as an Orlando City fan and say that it showed some of his weaknesses, that he's not quite ready for Europe, so maybe we have him for another year. Um, but I think especially for the national team, he kind of, he played well for what you would expect somebody in their first call up to do, in my opinion. And I guess, he's not like a Luna or a Tillman that, kind of cemented their spot as a, call up next summer. But you got to think, Tillman and Luna, especially Tillman's been called up to, the national team for what, 3-4 years now at this point, and it's taken them this long to adapt. So, maybe you never know. But yeah, what do you guys think? You think Alex will be, called up next year? Did he do enough to get called up, or does he still have some stuff to prove to get that World Cup spot?
I think, like you said, he still has something to prove. But at the same time, seeing Touch, I mean, start him all the games. I guess he sees something in him, the potential. I don't think that would be for no reason at all. So I think there's still hope there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he he's shown that he can hold his own. I think that you know, there's a different experience levels you're talking about, right? So when you look at somebody like him, and I was actually talking about that with my wife yesterday as we were watching the match. She was like, "How did he get on there?" I'm like, "Because he got the exposure. Because people see the talent and people see the potential, right? And they also understand. We're not gonna lie. The first couple of games when he passed that ball back to Galese and Galese is like running to save the ball, we all clenched our butt cheeks a little bit when we were watching those games, right? So mistakes are gonna happen. That's part of the game. But I think you see the talent, you see the potential, and I think that's why he'll definitely get that call up, and I think he'll definitely get better from there. And on that same note, I feel like when we talk about all of this, had this been a win yesterday, this would have been a different conversation, right? You know, there was a video that I saw, and I meant to send it to you guys. There was this guy on a news show, and he was talking about how we're referring to the teams like a B team, C team. He's like, but what is the team overall as a country, like the national team, showing us over the years? And it's not fair to these guys to call them the B team or the C team because they're the ones who are there. They're the ones who are pushing forward, right? Yes, you may be missing some of that quality, but you have that hunger from these guys, from these younger guys. It's like it's like a new team, right? So we're dealing with growing pains, but that's really on the coaching, you know. And I think they did it was a great performance overall when you factor all that in. But yeah, so I definitely think Alex has earned his spot um, based on what we've seen so far. But I'm not the one who makes those calls, so
No, I saw that that person say that, and I personally half agree with them.
yeah,
Growing up, the U.S. men's national team is what got me into soccer.
yeah,
I think watching Clint Dempsey and Landon Donovan and unfortunately Michael Bradley at times, and you know Tim Howard, and seeing what those guys did. I mean, 2010 was really you know the first full World Cup that I watched, and what a World Cup, especially the group stage to watch because of how that ended. If you guys remember, that was the goal against, I think it was Senegal, that Donovan put in the dying moments. But as far as like referring to teams as A teams, B teams, C teams, I understand what his point was,
yeah.
but at the same time, club teams do that too. If we go
I
out
know.
on Wednesday night in an Open Cup, and
Yeah, I
it's
know. I'm just thinking
like when we
about it,
played
like,
Tampa. If we lost to Tampa, we'd have been like, okay, you guys beat our a little bit better than Orlando's, our B team.
yeah, yeah,
And and the quality, you look at the yesterday's match kind of went a lot better than I anticipated because of the overall talent gap of what Mexico has and what we have had yet last night. I mean, you look at Mexico and they're starting guys that are playing for you know clubs in England in the Premier League, clubs in Italy in the Premier League. I mean, Santi Jimenez, I think his name is, if I remember it right, um, is a player. He's was a starter for most of the games at once he transferred over to Milan last year.
yeah,
And he was on their bench. You look at our bench, and we have a 20, he just turned 21 yesterday, striker to come in that is in his first camp. So um,
They were playing they were playing Raul. That guy's been playing probably when Freeman was in his diapers.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's still playing for, is it Watford or Wolverhampton or somebody like that?
Wolverhampton. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have a comment, and then we'll move on real quick, Miss Aya. I'll pull it up for you.
Yeah. Ray says on Freeman, playing defense, any mistake is very easy to see. What he adds to an attack offsets quite a bit. I hope he only needs more experience. Thank you,
yeah,
Ray.
Absolutely, absolutely. And guys, don't forget DK, our buddy DK over there should be coming into the season healthy. So nobody's talking about him being in the national team, and I think Ajimeng is what DK, he hopes to be what DK is. He's kind of that prototype type of guy, the same prototype as DK, and DK I feel like was a little more polished when he was with us. But let's move on. We'll move on to the senior team, and the match Saturday against Charlotte is a pretty important match to not lose any ground in the Eastern Conference. We beat Charlotte earlier in the year 3-1. I want to hear what you guys say, and then I'll go last.
I'll go. The highlight for me, I sent the text to you guys, was Muriel's run. There was this one point, it was in like the beginning of the first half, and it was a turnover. And I just saw like what I thought was the flash. I was like,
The
wait,
line.
I was like, Juan's not on there. I'm like, wait, Angulo's not on the pitch. I'm like, who is that? That was that
He was flying.
was Uriel. Dude, I don't think I've ever seen him run like that. That was awesome.
That was it,
Um,
though. We didn't see him the
yeah,
rest of the
no, I
game.
know. I'm just saying. Listen, you know, I'm not gonna judge. If I had done that, I'd probably be sitting down afterwards. So, um, no, but overall, I mean, I think. All right, so here I'm gonna try not to get it to go down a rabbit hole. We could have played a lot better, right? The results are results. It's not a loss. But it feels like one to me, right? Because it was a game we should have won. It was a game that we should have. It shouldn't have been a piece. I'm not saying it would have been a piece of cake, but it shouldn't have been that challenging for us. The fact that it was that challenging for us concerns me going forward, right? It's not the end all be all, but we're at the stage where I mean, we're what, 2/3 of the way through the season. I think we have like 10 games left or something. The next 10 games are going to be very critical in where we end up, and I don't want us to feel like too confident, like, okay, we're in fifth place, we're in fourth place, because we could very easily go from there and go below that playoff line. It doesn't take a lot, and we have some challenging games coming up. um so for me, my concern is that consistency in how we're playing. I mean, I'm sure we'll go into the technicalities of the plays, but my concern is that consistency, and we were making silly mistakes. There were some turnovers that I saw that I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And there were times when we just weren't pressing. You know, that's not how you win championships, right? Because if we were going into the playoffs tomorrow, I would be very worried playing like that, right? And I'm not saying doom and gloom, but all it takes is a couple of games like that, and it's a totally different world. You know, um, there were some great moments though, but that's really what I took away from it for the most part. Maybe I'm still salty over the fact that my other team left the Club World Cup early, but but moving on. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was gonna say. Was the going forward, we have a little bit of a hard schedule there. Got some tough teams left, and just like you said, um, playing like this and having to go against those teams, it does kind of worry me.
Yeah.
Is for sure. Like I said, like we were talking in the chat. For some reason, when we go to Charlotte, I don't know what it is, man.
Well, we're a
It's
very
like
giving team, like David always says. We try to make people feel better about themselves.
yeah,
So
yeah.
every
But
time we
like
get to
man, but every
the
time it show like you
yeah,
said, they came here and we handled them with ease, and then we go
yeah,
over there. Something about that stadium, man, that I don't understand. Like, I did like that. He's giving Enrique the nod over Angulo. Was that 2 games in a row now, or was it only that one? Two in a row, right? I think. Were you on mute? I couldn't hear you.
It was
No,
just
what
that
Mike said.
game there. Angelo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got excited about that, and Ramiro keeps scoring. I hope he keeps starting them. I see some people online saying that, oh, when Angulo came in, the game changed, stuff like that. But honestly, to me, it was like when we got those goals, he wasn't that big of a part in it anyway. Like, um, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, what I have to add to this is I was disappointed. Like I mentioned, we beat them at home 3-1. There should have been no reason, and we beat them when they were very good. At one point, they were number one on the table.
that's what I'm
So when
saying.
we beat them, they were firing in all cylinders. So I don't
It's
understand
that
what happened.
stadium. It's
Like
that
Isaiah
stadium,
said,
man.
we go there and it's always ties for some reason. I don't know if you guys remember a few years back, Martin Ojeda basically scored from on a set piece from like center circle. It was insane. Or what's his name? Benjamin Shaw scoring at the death. I don't every time we go, we tie in this spectacular fashion.
I don't believe
What
that. I
happened?
didn't look at. I didn't look. Sorry to cut you off. I didn't look it up, but after the game, I believe the commentator did say that every game we had in Charlotte, I believe, was a draw. I don't know if anybody can find that, but
Oh
I
no,
believe
no,
that's
no!
what he said. That
I'm
we have never
lying.
won
I'm
that.
lying. I don't remember
Yeah,
the last time we won a game there. But listen, it's intimidating places at NFL Stadium. They pack it. simply because they sell tickets as low as $20. That's how we used to do it at the Citrus Bowl or Camping World. So I get that part. Those people are behind that team. The Charlotte is right on the border, so they get a lot of people from South Carolina, North Carolina that go to the games, and that's beautiful and all that. I just felt that for a team as bad as they are, they're not in playoff contention. We just once again we put on our Santa uniform. We grab our Salvation Army bell and can, and we just outside of a Publix. They got Publixes in North Carolina, so in South Carolina. So we just went out there, started doing our thing. But I give him that. I give him this. Clawing back away in front of 70 plus thousand people that are just cheering that you drown is very difficult. I don't care what league it is. Coming back from two goals down is very difficult. We managed to do that. The first goal by Ramiro Enrique, what a piece of beauty! It was just
Yes.
ballet on fake grass. And the second one, once again, Marco Pasalic, pound per pound, probably one of the most impactful signings in Orlando City history. It wasn't flashy; nobody knew who he was, and here he comes. And he's scoring some clutch goals. I felt that the game was a carbon copy of what happened last week. The only difference is that we managed to score that second goal. Once again, and I said it last week, how we had David Breclow had scored that goal, we would have left high fiving everybody. Wow, what an incredible game! Because it was all action, just like it was this time. And it's misleading. People have a great time at the football, and then all of a sudden, boof, like we're gonna forget. Excuse me, we're gonna forget all the problems that we put ourselves in. So far, my observation is if the other team scores first, most likely the best we can do is tie a game. I think that it was very sad to see us put all that effort, all that skill to score two goals when their goals were trash. Let's be honest. I mean, the first goal, golazo, yes, but we allowed that player to get in that position. The captain just stood there. Anyhow, so my final analysis on that is if we are going to crap the bed against teams that are not making playoffs, and then we're gonna lose against teams that are definitely making playoffs, what's gonna happen when we go into the playoffs? Oh, that's right. It's not gonna be the Atlantas. There's not gonna be the Charlottes. It's not gonna be the Torontos. It's gonna be the Cincinnati's and the Miami's and the Nashvilles that
Columbus.
we're gonna have to face. And if we finish fifth or below, which statistically people are saying that that's what's gonna happen. I still, Ricardo Moreira was on the MLS podcast saying we're gunning for that number four. I guess we're already giving up on one, two, and three. So if that's what it is, cool. That's great. But
I think one's pretty far away now, though.
yeah, man. Listen, I'll finish with this because I'll be here all night. The point is that if we're already giving up and just going in for four, what's gonna happen is what happened last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that. We're just gonna go. We're gonna sell some tickets. People are gonna be excited. They're gonna be giving out the towels, in the hunt, or never hunt alone, or we're ready, or the marketing team is gonna come up with something cool like that,
All
and,
teeth.
and,
All
and we're
teeth.
gonna leave. Yeah, brother.
RT.
Oh yeah,
That's
all
what's
teeth.
in
Who came up with that? A dentist? Missed opportunity. My dentist is a season ticket holder. Shout out to Dr. Martinez. So she could have a sponsor that. All teeth. Yeah, I mean we dropped the ball, marketing team. We dropped the ball. We could have just gone dentist and anyhow. The point is, guys, is that we gotta win games, man, and it did not make me feel warm and fuzzy. This Saturday, we're gonna be playing against Montreal, a team that is praying that somebody puts them out of their misery, and that October
Moving on.
22nd comes around and they get to go on vacation. Those guys are they have already thrown in the towel. They know they're not mathematically they're not going to make playoffs. So my fear is this twofold: we lay an egg with Montreal, and the league laughs at us. Number one, number two, we struggle when we shouldn't, or the number two, number three, that we tie against a team that absolutely has no business in the playoffs, and that it's going to be interesting with the fact that Pedro Garcia is going to be on suspension for yellow card accumulation, and also it looks like Robin Chance is going to sit that one out with an injury. Are we ready? Are we ready to see Otero between the post? Let's see.
Well, about Charlotte. So the last time we beat them at home was in 2022, their first season.
Mm.
Every other one's either been a draw or a loss. And we haven't lost at home to them since 2023, unless you include the penalty, in regular time. We did lose the penalties to them last year in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, this team, it was a match very much resembling last season. We dominated every stat for the majority of the game: possession, shots, you know, pretty much everything. And we just couldn't, for whatever reason, couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, couldn't create anything threatening, the first 70 minutes of the match. And all of a sudden they scored 2 goals and we, look like, prime Barcelona knocking the ball around on that left side and score one of the most beautiful goals of the season. I mean, the build up to that was pretty direct. The movement from Muriel and Ojeda was beautiful. The cross in the centering ball was beautiful from Ojeda. Perfect pace. Enrique, when I saw it was Enrique on it, I was waiting for him to sky it over and make his famous card pose, but he knocked it into the back of the net like a striker's supposed to do. And, this is 2 matches in a row now that this team hasn't really started playing until we're down by multiple goals. And it's like even last week's match against Cincinnati, you look at it and statistically we again dominated all the statistics, but somehow we lost 2-1. This week dominated all. We've had 2 weeks in a row. We've held a team to less than 1 xg, 1 expected goal, 2 matches in a row. We've had over 2 expected goals 2 matches in a row, and we have 1 point to show from it.
And surrender 2 goals to set pieces.
I'm sorry.
Surrender 2 goals to set pieces
Yes.
against Cincinnati and Charlotte.
Yep. And on that same note, over those 2 matches, we are 1 for 5 on big chances. Against Cincinnati, we had 3 big chances. I'm sorry, 1 for 6 in big chances. We had 3 big chances last week against Cincinnati, missed all 3 of them. We had 3 big chances this week. We made one of them with, I believe it was Enrique's goal. So, when's that quality that we saw, at the beginning or in March and April going to come out, where we're scoring goals left and right, we're putting teams away early, we're not conceding goals. It's kind of mind-boggling about what this team's done this year, because we've basically, since mid-June, which is only 3 matches, but we've given up 6 goals in 3 matches. This is a team that went, what was it, 7 matches straight without conceding a goal?
Yeah.
And yes, there was like 4 matches we didn't score any, but we had battered up midfield. So, those are the concerning things for me going forward. As far as the match itself goes, I thought bringing in, as much as I love Brecalo, I thought bringing in Santos was a key to getting us back in the match. That was one thing we were really missing, was that overlap on the left side. I really hope that Marco and Dagger Dan figure it out between them and get more in sync, because that's something that's been missing since Freeman's been out, is those two just have not been in sync. And then when it comes to taking Angulo out, I would have much rather have seen Enrique on that left side with his speed than Ojeda and Murillo, who aren't the quickest player, aren't very fast in comparison to what other wingers are. Um, you know, I the last 30 minutes of the match, I thought we played very well. Did Charlotte sit back and play for the draw once we tied it up, or did they play for, sit back and try to keep the 2-goal lead, and then once we tied it up, stay playing for the draw? Yes, but at the same time, it shouldn't take 70 minutes for us to have, a beautiful piece of soccer that we score off of. Santos, if I remember correctly, not Santos, Enrique missed a sitter, or missed, tried to dribble around the goal, over touched it wide, and then Charlotte cleared it off the line. We just have to start faster. I mean, think about what we were doing a couple months ago. We were scoring 10, 15 minutes into the match, and now it's like the first 10 or 15 minutes is, kind of back and forth, and the other team's getting opportunities to score. So, that's my take on it. As far as the table goes, we didn't really move anywhere, because the teams ahead of us, the Columbus drew yesterday, and thoughts and prayers out to Seattle's goalie. I don't know if you guys saw his injury last night. Yesterday he got horrific injury off of a corner kick at the very end of the match. Goes out to makes a save and runs into one of the Columbus players that's sprinting in to try to put the ball in, and is knocked out cold on the pitch. I saw he put up a post earlier today that he's doing fine. He appreciates everybody, but still a scary situation. They actually ended the match a little bit early in stoppage time. But we're still 4 points behind Columbus, 6 points behind Philadelphia, 7 points behind Nashville, and 8 points behind Cincinnati. Now below us, they did do some catching up. Miami and New York City won, so we're only 2 points ahead of Miami and 3 points ahead of New York City. So they better figure things out quick, or we're going to be dropping the table pretty quickly, because there's 4 points between us and 8th, but then there's 4 points between us and 4th. So we better get figuring things out pretty quickly, and get a move on and start winning some matches other than these draws. A couple other orders of business with this match. Ojeda did receive star of the match for his, I believe, 2 assists. I don't know how he had 2, because Muriel touched that ball, unless they included the hockey assist on Marco's goal. And then Enrique received a Team of the Match Day. He's on the bench for Team of the Match Day. I believe that's his, 3rd, 4th, or 5th this year, somewhere in that neighborhood of Team of the Match Day. So congrats to him. And then in that match as well, Martin Ojeda became just the 3rd Orlando City player to have at least 50 assists, joining Nani and Facundo. He's currently 1 back of Nani in 2nd place. Nani has 51 and Facundo has 57. So congratulations to Ojeda. I bet you if he played, his first 2 seasons a lot more, he may have already eclipsed that 57 assist mark. Congrats to those guys. You guys have anything to add with that?
That's an amazing milestone. Honestly, I didn't realize
Absolutely.
I didn't realize he was that far ahead. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I
Very
mean, he, and then to think he's done it in basically 2.5 seasons of
yeah,
consistent playing time.
yeah. But you know what? I feel like kind of going back to the game and everything. It's about expectations, right? It's about
Hmm.
what we as fans expect from the teams and expect from the players. Like I know what we're talking about here. We're talking, I'm specifically like mentioning the consistency and things like that. I feel like sometimes we're like, okay, we'll make the playoffs as long as we make the playoffs. We're happy. It's I don't know. I just feel like our expectations are we temper our expectations a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my biggest pet peeves with because I know the four of us are on the same page where we want to win. You
Yes.
know, we don't making the playoffs is like the bare minimum that doesn't make it a successful season. One of my buddies put in a group chat I'm in with him with. Oh, I'm happy with the draw because going through the sad days of the first little bit, um, and all the bad days that we went through. I'll take this draw. We're still going to make playoffs, and that just I mean that honestly irritates me
And by the
greatly.
way, we have the Leagues Cup too coming up, just in
Yeah,
case. you know,
but I mean to playoffs with the current format. If it was just the top four teams, okay, that's a successful season making the playoffs. But when you're talking about what is it, 65% of the teams are now making the playoffs, that's not
Mm.
a successful season. That should be the bare minimum for any team in the league is to make playoffs.
yeah, yeah,
And that seems to be what this fan base is okay with, and the front office knows it, and the front office knows, hey, as long as we make playoffs, the majority of the fans will be happy,
yeah.
and we'll be good to go. Season tickets will continue to rise, and XYZ. And unfortunately, it's not. We're at the point to where, like I said, that should be the minimum expectation every year. And after last season, the expectation should be, or the goal is to be, should, after the last two seasons, the goal in the regular season should be to finish in one of the top two spots. And then the postseason goal should be to make at least the Eastern Conference final. The expectation should be to make at least the Eastern Conference finals.
Yes, but it's not. But that's not the way that
Yeah.
it is. It's funny because we talk about it and watching the Club World Cup the past few weeks reminds me of how our expectations. Not even watching my own club, but just watching these other clubs, the expectation of these clubs from their fans. It's just the bars are so much higher than 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 where we're at,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I feel like until we do that, we're not going to get to that unless it's like if I don't tell you to jump a 5 foot wall, you're never going to try to jump that 5 foot wall. If I'm saying, okay, you're good with a 3 foot wall, yeah, all right, great job. If I never raise that bar, if I never raise that expectation, you're never going to push yourself to do it. And that's where I feel like we tend to see, you know where we differ, MLS meaning, versus the rest of the world. And I know, when we talk about the Club World Cup and we say, the MLS is trying to show how they have teams in there, but what do they really do? Like, it's great that they're there and they're showing that they're able to, but where did we really get? You know what I mean? Like the best teams of our league, or the best teams, honestly, Seattle had the best effort. Let's call it that, because the other ones were just there. But it's like until we raise that expectation ourselves of the teams, I don't think we're gonna see what we're hoping to see. I don't know.
The,
Maybe
la-
I'm just impatient. You know what I mean?
the
Maybe
last
I'm just impatient, and maybe I just want it yesterday. But I mean, come on.
I mean, the last three games, the commentators have been saying of how they think that when our three DPS are on, they're like top two, three in the whole league, and the amount of the good depth that we have, that our team is so deep. So the fans that think that just making the first round of the playoffs is enough, I mean that's ridiculous. We're beyond that already. We know with this team and with Papi that he can get us there. To me, it's like John said. To me, it's Eastern Conference Finals or bust. Um, And even that, I mean, if we make that one more time, I think after that now, then you definitely want to make the cup. I still
Yeah,
think,
definitely. I mean, you got to think we've made the playoffs what 5 seasons in a row now.
Yeah.
yeah, we're
Three of the
one
five,
of
three of
one
the
of
five
three.
seasons we've advanced to
Yeah,
the second round.
Yeah. Oh, but we made the playoffs, so we should be
Yeah,
happy.
no,
But
and
you know,
it's just like you either want to win or you don't want to win. And that's kind
exactly.
of I know it's a
There's
little bit different overseas with the financial fair play and everything, but it's like I couldn't imagine. I don't understand. I couldn't imagine being one of the teams that's stuck in middle table in the Premier League. I would go insane. Think I'm just trying to think. Of a team that's middle of the table the last several years. Um, Liverpool,
perfect. No,
for instance, the Wolves. I know that they've been. I don't know if they've been relegated or not, but I know that they were for a while middle table, not really pushing for top four to make Europe or really close to a relegation battle. A Fulham, that's a good one. Fulham,
Hmm.
they're at best going to get top four, and they luck their way into that if they ever get it. But other than that, they're looking at finishing, somewhere between sixth and 12th, and I don't understand how anybody's happy with that. And I know it's one of those. The closer they get to that, the lower the table, the fans get more disgruntled and everything. But going into every season knowing that you're not going to win it, I don't understand how you can be a fan of that and how you can support that
mhm.
because I want to win. I'm too competitive. Like my mood when I was in high school and was playing sports, team sports, when we would lose, I would essentially hate life because I hated losing so much. And it's the same, a little lesser degree, but a lot lesser degree, but it's the same thing. When our team loses, when Orlando City loses or one of my other teams lose, I have to take a couple minutes and collect myself and remind myself that it has nothing to do with me because I just hate losing that much. And these people that are okay with us, over the last 5 matches taking 7 points out of 15. And honestly, we really should have only gotten four out of 15 because you're not going to see a comeback like we saw this past Saturday every week. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. Making playoffs anymore, like my dad said, is not good enough. It just means you didn't have a failure of a season.
Playoffs is like getting to second base in middle school. That's basically what it is, and it's just as unsatisfying. So we gotta say, listen. At this point, we have seen teams that have come to the league after us lift the trophy. Last year, the more I think about it, at the time I wanted to be positive. We never been this far, yada yada yada. But the reality is, we were at home against a team that barely made playoffs, and we laid an egg. The work had been done for us. Atlanta did us a huge favor. Red Bulls did us a huge favor, eliminating teams that definitely would have sent us home in embarrassment. That we had no business hosting the conference final at home. But I digress. The reality is that the people that say those things are the people that reported my Twitter account constantly, thumb down this show on YouTube, and then miraculously go, maybe I was so harsh. You're nice guys. Let's make peace. And to that person, I said, go suck a lemon. You can't be mean to me publicly and then try to be nice in private. The fact is that as long as you treat this as transactional, we always have said football is entertainment. Win or lose. My work, my life, all that it stays the same. So I don't let football results dictate my mood or how I view life after that. But it's entertainment, and you should treat it like that. But you should demand more. You're a customer, you're paying, and you should be moving towards a goal rather than digress or just stay stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
The people that are once again the happy clappers and the tailgate cornhole champions. What we call why did I come up with those names? I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's people that as long as they get to see their friends, they get to have a good time. They are out of the house. They put on their Orlando City gear and they have a great time. And because there's no relegation next year, we'll see you guys. Everything is awesome. Everything is great. I'm gonna tell you about what's happening in Stevenage right now. And people hate it. I know Holly and Callum were joking with me that I bring up Stevenage too much in this podcast, and they don't understand why. And I tell them because Maccabi Haifa is a powerhouse in Israel that will never sniff relegation, but with Stevenage, I get to suffer. I get to suffer. Okay, and Stevenage right now has a monumental decision to make. Do we go for gold, try to get into the championship for the very first time in our history, or are we satisfied with surviving another season in League One? Personally, the manager that we have, I'm giving him till December. And if we are not there, fire the guy because we cannot give ourselves the opportunity to get relegated. Relegation costs money. Relegation is very difficult to come back from. And I know that for the people that follow Chelsea and Liverpool and Arsenal and all that, they don't understand what I'm talking about because their teams will never go through those hardships. But I choose to support a club in the trenches, right? In the trenches, where every point matters. And I'm gonna be honest, they came up with the new jersey, and I'm gonna go buy it. I'm gonna support the club and all that. But my level of tolerance is very minimal. But with Orlando City, it's huge because it doesn't matter what happens. We still have MLS to play next year. Stevenage has a bad season this year. Is League Two. We're digressing. All that progress that we've done in the last 4 years, out the window, into the trash can, and let's hope. Last time that Stevenage got relegated to League Two, it took 9 seasons to get out of it. 9 seasons.
Wow.
And one, Stevenage was relegated. But what happened? Barry got kicked out of the EFL, and Macclesfield got kicked out of the EFL on points deduction and on paying their employees. And because of that reason, Stevenage finished 23rd on the league, and in the courtroom, not on the pitch, in the courtroom, managed to avoid relegation. And that was the 2019-2020 season because it ended 10 days, 10 games before the season should have ended. And we always say that's makeup for 1996 when Stevenage earned promotion, but because the stadium and the finances were not there, they were denied promotion. Why I say all this about a team that has nothing to do with Orlando City? Simple, my friends, is that our system creates an environment where being mediocre is okay. If you finish last, like Montreal right now, what's going to happen next year when we go to the draft? To the people that say, "Oh, we should get rid of it. It's inconsequential." Look at the talent that Orlando City has managed to mine out of that freaking event. So Montreal gets to pick first. They probably find the next Daryl Dike or the next Duncan McGuire, or God forbid, the next Alex Freeman out of there, and they start winning games, right? We should the rest of the world punishes a bad season, and there's a ton of documentaries about this thing. The one that always comes to mind is the Sunderland Till I Die, where we saw a team at the pinnacle of world football stumble into the championship and stumble into League One. And you know what I said? And now you'll see, Wrexham coming out of the National League. 16 years it took them to get out of it. And even after millionaires buy the team, they didn't manage to get promoted in the first try. They lost to Grimsby, for crying out loud, a fishing village team. that's still toiling away in League Two. By the way, I saw a guy last home game with a Grimsby jersey. Anyhow, the point is that as long as people are okay with being okay, everything's gonna be okay. To me, it's not, man. We gotta win, bro. I want to lift trophies. I don't know about you, but that night, that magical night in 2022 when we lifted the Open Cup, to me that was awesome. I want to repeat that. And last year being so close to lift another trophy felt like we have fallen from grace. But and I finished with this defeat galvanizes this fan base. MLS is back. Tasted like crap. To lose the way within. And at the time, people were like, nobody's gonna remember who won this made-up tournament, one of a kind. But I'm like, winning. Even if the trophy is a 20% discount on your next car wash, I want to win that. I'm like, like you guys were saying, I want to win. And John, for those that don't know John personally, John hates losing more than me, and I thought that was impossible. John hates he hates losing. It's the way it is, and you know what that translates into life. Because you want to be first on everything that you do, and I gotta tell you right now, my in my job they gave last week they gave the awards for performance last year. I wasn't on it because I started this year, and immediately I said, I'm better than that dude. I'm gonna go for that. And I'm working like an animal. Tomorrow I'm meeting my boss in town. He flew in to see how I was doing. So, tomorrow, trust me, I'm gonna put the performance of a lifetime. Why? Because I'm a winner. And that's what I expect from my team and from the players, and they know. They know because when they see me, they recognize me. And they recognize me. Why? Because I tell them, I say, hey, I'm rooting for you, man. I'm cheering for that. Come on, let's go. And I love the attitude. I'm gonna tell you a player that is gonna surprise you through my personal conversations with this individual. Rodrigo Shaw was a winner. That dude wants to win, and you can point his flaws in the pitch and all, but that guy wants to win. That guy supports the academy kids. That guy's always where he's needed, and he always volunteers for things. I just think that as long as we allow people to go on social media and silence individuals that want excellence by saying it doesn't matter, the team doesn't owe us anything.
Hmm.
Let me calm down because I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I'm thinking of a person right now that
Well, let's move on to the future that always looks bright,
right.
and go on to the match this Saturday against Montreal. Currently, Montreal sits at the basement of the Eastern Conference, which in the past, we've spent plenty of time in. Um, they only have 3 wins and 5 draws on the season, 13 losses, sitting at 14 points. This should be an absolute no doubter of a win Saturday. If it's anything that's not a comfortable win, it should be looked at as a negative. I know Gillespie's out because of yellow card accumulation, as is Janssen. It'd be a smart idea for the club to not include him in the injury report since he has to miss this week anyway with the yellow card suspension. And we saw what the team looked at the beginning of the year over a couple matches without Janssen. But with that being said, I feel like Brecklow's been playing well. Schlegel's been playing much better the last several matches. Um, we get Alex Freeman back. It should, our DPs are still churning. Enrique's catching form. So, I don't think that there's any reason that we shouldn't come out with a comfortable victory, minimum 2-0, if not 3-4-0. Because Montreal is absolutely awful this year. But as we've said on this podcast, we like to play down to our opponents when we play much lesser opponents, like we did this past weekend. Um, so, but yeah, it should be anything. It should be an almost a shoe in of a win, as long as the players turn up for the entire match and not wait until the 70th minute.
And I gotta say this: what needs to happen this Saturday? It has to be an old fashioned beatdown. Old fashioned beatdown. Personally, this will be my dream starter sheet. I want to see Williams at center back. Put Brecalo where he's been playing on the left as a left back. Um, I have the feeling that Smith will probably be either left back or center back because Oscar tends to go for the tried and true. But I'm gonna be partial here. I'm not gonna be impartial. And I'm saying this because especially John and I have a lot of respect, a lot of admiration for this young man, and I think it's time. If Oscar Pereira doesn't think that Williams is the guy, then let's release him. I mean, seriously, this is the moment that has been calling for Williams, and personally, I have told him many times, in person, you gotta be ready for the moment because moments don't blow their horn from a distance; they just show up. You gotta be Mr. Prime Time, ready to rock and roll. And I think this is the game. Montreal is, it's a really bad team. And I think that Williams can handle that and showcase the talent that he is. So that's what I would like to see. The other thing is, no, show no mercy. The fan base has seen two losses at home, last two home games. Listen, go out there, put on a show that will make people go, next game, I'm bringing my friend. Next game, I'm bringing my brother. You know what I'm saying? When people see something that is so impressive, they tell others. They want others to join in the fun. That's what you gotta do. And I know the next game is gonna be on a Wednesday, and it's gonna be difficult. I'll try to be there, but I got work to do, so we'll see how that goes. But the fact of the matter is, Oscar, if you're listening, Saturday has to be. It has to be France 1940 type of surrender from Montreal. I don't want to hear about it. I mean, I want 4-0. It has to be a bloodbath. Montreal is a bad team. Montreal has to get on a. They have to dust off their passports. They gotta jump on an airplane. They gotta fly 5 hours to get down here. It's hot and humid. They're not used to that. They gotta go through TSA on costumes. Most likely, somebody's gonna pull the fire alarm in the middle of the night. You savages, we know you. And you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna surrender points to who? To Montreal. Oh, who's playing on Montreal other than our former player there? What's his name? The Italian one.
Petrasso.
What's his name?
Petrasso.
Yeah, there you go, brother. Petrasso. Yeah, look at
We
Petrasso.
always get troubled by that guy Piet that he tucks in his jersey
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. What a nerd.
and Joe Waterman. Hate that guy. That guy always gives us trouble too.
Bro, you know more about them than me. All I know is that they like to put gravy on their fries. That's all I know about Montreal, and they speak French or their version of French. That's it. But listen, I'm tired of this. Listen, if we don't get points, if we get a tie or lose, worse, to Montreal, just don't tune in next Monday because I'm not gonna be pleasant to be around. I think,
Neither will I.
yeah, exactly. Listen, at this point, I think we have made it very clear that making playoffs is not good enough. Making a final is not good enough. If we are not going to end up lifting a trophy, if we're not end up doing something, and John, I think your dad said it. Basically, is he used a baseball analogy. Oh well, basically you do not strike out. And but I'll have to say, to use baseball, have you ever seen that teams that just get a player on first base or second base and nothing happens, and then they strike out and end of the inning, and those guys, they run, they take off their helmet, blah blah, blah, they grab their glove and they go out there. And that's how futile making the playoffs this past 6 years, because this will be our 6th year, has been. We have been in this league for 10 years, 11 seasons. And people are like, well, we did not make playoffs the first 5 years. So what? So what? I didn't go on dates when I was in high school, and then I joined the Navy, and all of a sudden, every girl in the universe, wanted to take me home. So what? That's how it was. We can't keep. Oh well, we were ugly ducklings. Guess what? You're a beautiful swan right now. That's what you are, Orlando City. Come on, show off, show off. I mean, and I'm finished with this. Listen, there's a lot of good people, man, that have been paying their money to go watch this team week in, week out. And like I told Oscar, when I saw him at the event, you just gotta go out there and you gotta win for the guys on the terraces. Because I told him, I said, Oscar, look at the people here. They're not criticizing you. They're not finger wagging. They're not upset. They're just showing you love. That's showing you. And I left that event feeling that our fan base is so prime to be rewarded. And it's up to the guys to believe in themselves and to go win us the freaking game. And Montreal is just a formality. Let's treat it like that. We always give so much respect to teams. Like last weekend, like I said, we were charity FC. Let's throw that out the window. Let's just go win a freaking game. No mercy, because you know what's gonna happen. One thing that we haven't mentioned is Miami has like 4 or 5 games that less than us. If they go on a rampage, which they can do, before you even know it, we could be 8th or 7th before you even know it. So guess what? We have a little homestands. Let's win Saturday. Let's win Wednesday. It's that simple. No excuses. I'm sorry. You're at home in front of your crowd. You slept in your own bed. You drove yourself there, and at the end of the game, you're going back to your house. What's the excuse? You're not gonna let somebody come. Come on, you're gonna let somebody come and show you in your house a team that is dead last. I don't know. I leave it up to them.
Ahmed?
I mean, listen, I think the expectations are clear. We This is not about the result. It's about the performance. For me, it's not it the result should be a given. The result should be a given when we're playing the team that's currently in last place, and we've been there, right? And you figure the person that's in last place, they're like, you know what, I have a point to prove, and so do we, right? Because you can't let a team that historically, if you look at the numbers, it's actually kind of interesting because um, over the last, I just had it here, now I can't find it. Over the last 26 matches against Montreal, there we've had 10 wins, they've had 10 wins, and 6 draws, right? Not all, that's historically, right? So it sounds pretty even. It sounds pretty even. So could we be surprised on Saturday? If you don't think we could, I've got news for you. That's why we say football is cruel and unpredictable. The worst thing you can do is underestimate the person that you are playing against and say, "We got this." Because the minute you do, somebody's going to show you that you don't, right? So we have a point. We do have a point to prove. I don't care if they're the first place team or if they're the 10th place team. We have a point to prove because we need to score, but we also need to show the performance. Because to me, that's what's missing right now. If that game on this past Saturday had been a different performance, I wouldn't have cared about the result. My issue was more with the performance than with the result. That's not the way you play if you want to be a winning team, and that's what we want at the end of the day. So I want to see a better performance from the team. It's not to say we don't support our team. It's not to say if we didn't support our team, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be complaining about this. That's why we complain about it. That's what I wish more people did. Is you're complaining about it because you want it to get better, not because you don't support them, right? If I didn't support them, I'd have gotten rid of my tickets about 2 seasons ago, and saved myself a ton of money by switching to Geico. I'm just kidding. So, but
Yeah,
really,
but
it's there's no excuse for us not to A, win, and B, have a great performance, right? Even down the guys that we're going to be down, we have a lot of talent. Let's show the talent. Let's show what the talent can do, and let's show how they can play. It should be exciting football, like to David's point, that makes you want to come back. I've been to games that were losses that made me want to come back. I didn't care that we lost, but that was a good match, right? That's what you want to see. That's what we're not seeing. I was watching that game on Saturday. I was kind of bored. I'm not going to lie. There were some pieces of excitement, but for the most part, it was like, okay, when are we going to do something? Right? So that's all I got. Sorry.
And we're about to wrap it up. So I just
Misael,
wanna, before we forget.
Misael hasn't commented yet, David.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead, brother. You're muted, brother. No, still no audio, bro. All right. While Miss Al figures that out real quick, I just want to say July 22nd for the season ticket members. There's gonna be an event, barbecue, and signing with five or six players. Check your email, respond. You're gonna get a ticket per season ticket to go to this event. I'm gonna try my darnest to go. I know it's a Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30, I believe. It's gonna be at the where usually they have the
Main
main
Street.
street,
Hmm.
and yeah, if you can make it, great. This again, if we don't support these events, then they're gonna go away. But I'm very happy that the club is doing something of value for the season ticket holders. And so I'm saying that if you're a season ticket holder and you're one of those guys, you don't check your email, or most of this stuff ends on in your junk box, to go check it out. So, Miss Al, do you fix your microphone?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, with the Montreal, just like you guys touched on, I think it should be at least like a 3-0 win. Um, it should be no reason why we can't get that. Did we get to touch on the Liverpool player and stuff like that?
Not yet. Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
That-
Okay, just wanted to. I mean, I'm sure most of the people heard about. I don't know if I'm going to say it correctly. Diego Jota and his brother Andre Silva died in a car accident. Um, I just read yesterday that Liverpool is going to pay his family the remaining 2 years of his contract. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, just a tragic loss.
Yeah, that's class. That's a lot of money for no return. Anybody would have been like, "Oh, tough cookies." Hope you had insurance. So classy. A guy just at the beginning of life. I'll be 49 in a few weeks, and somebody that's 25. That's half my life basically. 25-year-old to me is a kid. There was a time when 25 was old, and he leaves. He just got married. He leaves. I believe two kids, and as a father, that to me, that's why that will keep me up at night. Leaving my children when they need me the most, and I have seen, unfortunately, that in my lifetime, people who unfortunately lose their lives for whatever reason, and they leave their children behind, and kids need dads. His spouse, his wife, obviously, left to pick up the pieces. My heart goes out to the family. I know a lot of people are thinking about the club and the fans, but the reality at the end of the day is those two kids and that woman that really, really needed him around.
and he
Uh,
was just married 2 weeks. They just got married a week
yeah,
ago.
yeah, they sure did. So
Oh wow.
I'm happy that happened, because now she obviously is gonna get the protections, and be able to manage his state and all that, and be well taken care of. Again, tomorrow's never guaranteed, and my advice to everybody is, as long as we're alive, to love as much as possible. Life's too short to just waste it in nonsense. Something that I had to learn the hard way, because life's like that. Sad moment. So again, our heartfelt condolences to his family and friends, and football goes on, unfortunately. Guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
And
Do you have anything to add Misael, about Montreal?
No, that was it. Just, I mean, you guys touched on it all. Just we got to get the win, get the 3 points. I mean, we're at home. There should be no excuse. They're second to the worst team overall. I think Galaxy has fewer points than them. There should be no excuse. Even with Otero there, I mean, when Otero was in several matches, I mean, I thought he did an excellent job. I think he even had one or two clean sheets as well. So
Exactly.
I don't think that's an excuse. If the rest of the team does their job to help him out, I mean, like I said, there's no excuse. So just get the three
Yeah,
points.
Montreal, their top scorer, and they have several, but their top scorer has one goal. Their assist leaders
Wow.
have one assist. I mean, they're just absolutely dreadful.
hot
It's,
garbage.
it's shocking. Yeah, and Petrasso, who doesn't even start, is their a leading assist man. They don't have anybody with more than one goal contributions on the entire year.
But he's
And
got the blueprint to it.
that should tell you enough that this should be an absolute beatdown come Saturday.
Look at the
But
positives. They
he's
get
got
to
our
go to
blueprint.
Disney World in the morning.
Say it again.
They get to go to Disney World in the morning. You gotta look at the positives. It's not a wasted trip. They get to go to Disney Universal, that new park. What is it? The new
Epic.
Universal Park, Epic.
Yeah.
Imagine that. If I was Montreal, that's what I would do. I would just go have a good time, and then come game time, just let the football gods decide.
Definitely.
All right, so I guess we have burned all our ammunition on that one. I want to thank everybody that watched us live. I want to thank everybody that's going to watch us later, and everybody that's going to listen to us. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed or follow us on our social media, please do so. Let friends and family know that we're here talking about Orlando City, the club of that we love. And again, I had the experience of talking to several people from the UK this past month and a half. Everybody seems to be having a good time coming to the Orlando City games. Everybody seems to respect the quality of our game day and experience. So again, be proud of what you got, because we shouldn't be ashamed of who we are, and we shouldn't be ashamed of our product. We got great football here, and the people that have told me that have no reason to lie to me. So um, let's be there Saturday. Let's support the boys. I know it's a difficult time of the year. Everybody's on vacation, this and that and the other. But after this game, I mentioned that we have 13 games left, seven which are home games, and that's the end of the season. Which will be here before you even know it. So let's go support the boys. We After we come out of Leagues Cup recess, we are facing quite possibly the first and last time that Tifanel Pesi will have the opportunity to come to Orlando. I hope he does. I hope he shows up. Otherwise, what you're telling me is that you're scared of real competition. But we'll see how that goes. So that's probably gonna be the game of the season for us, and the boys need us. So Saturday, be there. Come on, and bring a friend, preferably somebody that has never been to an Orlando City game. Bring somebody with you and show them what the beautiful game is all about, guys.
That's it. All right, so we're gonna leave you the only way we know how, reminding you that football is played on grass, not on paper. That football is cruel and unpredictable. That football is a pound of talent and an ounce of luck. And if you've never cried for football, for joy or anger over football, have you really ever footballed? So for Misael, David, John, and myself, may God bless you. And as always, vamos, Orlando!